F1 is an absolute passion of mine, so when my friend offered me tickets to go to the Hungarian Grand Prix, I bit their hand off. Join me as I explore Budapest, as well as the access and what it's like. Welcome to another episode of the Tetra Travels. I hope you enjoy it, and please remember to like, share and subscribe for more of this content.
So just arrived in Hungary, had a bit of a nightmare at Stansted where they wouldn't let my electric wheels on the plane. But after about an hour of arguing and them going back and forwards, eventually they decided that the wheels that are completely legitimate, like I've taken them many flights, were actually okay. But that delayed us quite a bit, so we had to sort of leg it through the airport somewhat. But we got there in the end. The Hungary end has actually been really smooth. We got here, my shower chair was taken off really quickly. And yeah, we've been about the same speed as anyone else, which is a rarity as a wheelchair user. So hopefully it's going to be a good weekend. So we're in the taxi now. It's a company called Paratrans. Been very helpful in booking this. But yeah, it's nice, lots of space. Takes the wheelchair. So all good so far. Smoothest I think I've ever got out of an airport.
As I said, I booked a company called Paratrans to take us from the airport. This seemed the only wheelchair accessible taxi company in Hungary. They don't have many taxis either, but they were very helpful when I booked them over the phone. They took us to the Novotel Central, where we'd be staying for 3 nights. The hotel was in a great location on the Buda side of Budapest, which I've heard is more accessible. Whilst it wasn't the cheapest hotel, I was very pleased with the access. I had a nice spacious room, extremely high ceilings, and it wasn't very noisy. My complaint was the bed was maybe a little bit high for my self-transferring, but that's very much up to the individual anyway. The wet room was excellent with a high pressure shower, grab rails in the right places, and a sink you could get underneath, and the shower drained properly. The next day, in the morning, we went to visit the Szczecin Baths. Hungary is famous for its spas, so we thought we'd give it a go. We chose this one as it's the largest, and online it said it had lifts into the pools. I wasn't sure what the changing facilities would be like, so I wore my swim shorts and I thought at worst I'd go back to the hotel to get changed. When we got there, the changing rooms were as expected, not very accessible, with just a small bench. However, they had cabins you could lock your stuff away and get changed in, with one that was slightly larger for wheelchair users, so it may suit some people. I forgot to film it, but I did find a room where I could change, that had some beds, but it was quite public, so I don't recommend it unless you're pretty okay with a lack of privacy. There was a lift down to the pool side. However, unlike on the website, there were no lifts into the pools themselves. The kindness of strangers on the stag do did mean I got a swim though. The water was lovely and warm, but I swam in the cooler one. There is a much hotter one, as well as indoor pools, all with natural spa water. So we've come to the Szczecin Baths, probably saying that completely wrong. And although online it says that actually there are pool hoists, they don't actually have any. There's one broken one that it looks like it's not been in use for many years. So there was no way into the pool that was accessible. They did have a lift down to the outdoor pool, so that bit was good, but yeah, nothing to actually get you in the pool. Thankfully, due to the kindness of strangers, some blokes on a stag do lifted me into the pool, and then some other guys lifted me out of the pool again, so I did manage to have a swim, which was nice. But yeah, I couldn't necessarily recommend it for anyone in a wheelchair that wanted to guarantee a swim, unless you can sort of get yourself down there, then it would be fine. But yeah, it was a bit disappointing, especially as they made you pay full price, but it is what it is, and we did manage to get a swim in the end. After the spa, we took a short walk to Heroes Square, which has an iconic monument to important Hungarian leaders, as well as the memorial stone for fallen heroes. From here we took the bus back to the Jewish quarter where we were staying, before taking a walk to the main synagogue and just to generally explore. The buses were pretty good, with a flip down ramp and space for the chair. They seem to come quite regularly as well.
So we're now here at the Great Synagogue. We are sort of staying in the Jewish district anyway, but we thought we'd come and have a look at it. We find it's very beautiful. We can't actually go in because it's a Saturday, but yeah, it's really stunning from the outside.
We decided to take a recommended walk around the Jewish area of Budapest. It had specific locations to see, such as synagogues, a mural to the first Hungarian team to beat England, including Puskás, their most famous player, various artwork and cafe streets. Some of the paths were not the easiest in a wheelchair, as it was an old area with cobbles and high curbs. But we made it work, and it was really interesting. It also led us to where we had chosen to eat that night. We ate at a place called Barak and Silva. I'm probably saying that completely wrong, but I'll put the link in the description. It was a delicious place for local Hungarian food.
Very good. Yeah, very sweetly.
This was a great restaurant serving high quality local food, such as the duck pate, which was amazing. The next day was the main reason I was in Hungary, to see the Formula 1. It's always been a dream of mine to go to the Hungarian circuit, as I've heard great things. Unfortunately, we were struggling to find a taxi that I could use to get to the circuit. However, I did find a company that uses old London and German taxi cabs as wedding vehicles. They were super helpful, and I will put the link in the description. At first my chair didn't quite fit, but they took the rubber seal off the door and I just about got in, but my chair is quite wide. The difficulty we had was that because it was not an official taxi, they wouldn't let us use the taxi rank when we arrived, so I got dropped off at the top of the circuit. This caused more problems, as when I entered I was suddenly faced with a steep hill to get down to the circuit. The staff were very helpful for helping me down, but I don't think they realised the challenge at first. I didn't film the last bit because we all needed all hands on deck, as they had to carry me down a massive set of stairs. My recommendation is, if you're in a wheelchair, make sure you use the correct entrance. When we got there, the access stand did have a great view, but disabled toilets were hard to find with long queues. It was also a blisteringly hot day, but they did have lots of water points. Overall, it was a great experience though, despite the race not being an absolute classic. The next day, we only had half a day before our flight, so we didn't venture far from the hotel. Nearby was the New York Cafe, which is known for being the most beautiful cafe in Europe. We thought we'd give it a go, and it was absolutely stunning inside. The food was very delicious, albeit a bit pricey for Hungary, but it was a lovely way to treat ourselves before heading back. It has a step up inside, but the staff do have a ramp. There was also a disabled toilet. We finally took the flight home after using the Paratrans taxi company that hadn't been available for the race.
So we're just heading back to the airport now after a really good time. The F1 was good yesterday and it's been a really enjoyable trip. It hasn't been the easiest city to get around in terms of a wheelchair. Like the buses were pretty good, but didn't really try the metro because I wasn't too sure about it. And it's very difficult to get a taxi that works. A lot of the pavements are a bit lumpy and they have lots of crevices in them. So again, that wasn't the easiest, but it was alright overall. I didn't go onto the Buda side of the city either, so there's still a lot of exploring to do at a further holiday, but from what I did see, we had a good time and yeah, we made it work.
What a trip that was, and I look forward to the next trip to the F1 where hopefully I'll be visiting Spa next year. So please look out for that, and remember to like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed it. See you soon.